If you're here to learn more about what's new for Bonterra Fundraising and Engagement for the second half of this year, you are in the right place.
I would like to just spend a moment on vision and strategy because I think it helps if we kind of baseline on what we're trying to do, the vision that we have, and kind of strategically how we're going to get there. It helps set up and put in context the roadmap and the work that we're doing. You may have heard by now that we have joined forces with DonorDrive, and we are super excited about that. So I'm actually going to spend a few moments talking about that at the start. And then we will jump into the second half roadmap roadshow. So if you remember, we did this in the spring for the first half. It was a little bit of what we released and then some of what's upcoming, and we'll do the same here. So we'll sort of pick it up from roughly July timeframe, talk about what we released since then, and some of the other pieces that we're working on that we'll release either this quarter or maybe early next quarter. So with that, this is a slide that I always start with. I'm not going to go through it in great detail, but this is the vision and values of fundraising and engagement. If you've heard Bonterra talk about 3% in 33, kind of our overall mission statement to bend the giving curve ahead of like just general growth in GDP. What you are looking at here is how the fundraising engagement team is going to support and drive, help support that drive towards that 3% in 33, meaning in 2033. The piece that I mostly just want to bring your attention to today, and the only part that I think matters for our conversation, is right there in the middle, the value themes and metrics, recruiting more supporters, increasing supporter engagement, and empowering supporters. What those really mean is these are the values, the value that you can expect to get from our products as we build this over time. And the metric underneath there, I am terrible with acronyms, so LTM is last 12 months. But what we want to do, if you read this from left to right, is we're going to be focusing on products on helping you bring in more supporters to your ecosystem, find net new. And then once you have them in place and part of your ecosystem, deepening your level of engagement with them. So if someone has volunteered, for example, but hasn't made a donation, helping you identify and understand who those people are so you can perhaps reach out to them. The reverse of that is true if someone's donated, maybe they want to donate again or take a volunteer shift, for example. And then empowering supporters. So that's percent of supporter-led activities, again, last 12 months. And what that means is like we want to be able to measure and empower like your power supporters, the ones that are willing and able and excited to take up the work on your behalf. And that could be canvassing, knocking on doors, phone banking, or peer-to-peer. So you can see how I'm setting up DonorDrive, running fundraising campaigns, and a thon or some other type of campaign. And you can hopefully start to see how the DonorDrive acquisition fits in very, very cleanly there. So that's how we think about structuring and contextualizing the work that we do over the next several years, is really driving the value that you all receive from our products really across those three thematic areas. So I'll just jump right into the DonorDrive acquisition and talk a little bit about how we are thinking about it. So first and foremost, as I mentioned, we are recruiting more supporters, increasing supporter engagement, and then empowering those supporters. This is another view of the slide that I just showed you earlier. And so how DonorDrive really fits into this then is that increasing that supporter engagement. With the acquisition and with this partnership, we are now industry leaders in peer-to-peer fundraising, and I'll talk a little bit more about how we're thinking about integrating that together. But the main point that I want you to see here is that with all of the data that we have, you see that unified supporter data, regardless if that's coming in from a fundraising form or maybe you've uploaded information, peer-to-peer information now coming in as well to be able to give you this sort of this omni view and help you make sense of all of this data to do really targeted and specific outreach campaigns. How DonorDrive fits into our larger event strategy. What we are working on and where we're going to be going really through a lot of 2025, I wish I could have this now, but I can't, is a standalone events platform that we think is going to be really differentiated in the market in really two ways. First, as you can see the breadth of the offerings there. So if you have our fundraising and event solution, if you want to run a peer-to-peer campaign, if you want to run a ticketed event or a gala, maybe you want to do one of those things, and then you also want to run an auction at the same time, you can do that from one location. All of that can be powered by Bonterra payments. We are centralizing and building a very deep relationship with Stripe. So their innovations become your innovations as well, as we can pass those forward. And then from a CRM perspective, we would love it if you used EveryAction or Network for Good, for example. But if you are using Salesforce as an example, that will absolutely work, and we're going to maintain and continue to build out. DonorDrive has great connections with Salesforce. They were their 2022 product partner of the year for DonorDrive and Salesforce. And that's really powerful and something that we can build on as well. So that's how we're thinking about, generally speaking, putting our events together. You will see differentiation and partly, again, in the breadth of that. But I think also, and maybe more importantly, there is the depth of that. We want, maybe where some others have potentially haven't quite lived up to the promise. We want to live up to the promise of having all of your data in one location. You can very easily run a peer-to-peer campaign, run an auction, manage those, maybe see a report of either funds that have been raised, people that have signed up from like one location, and be able to manage that, have one login across all of this as well. And that's really kind of from a high level vision, that's really what we're going to be working towards with this event solution. I will get into a little bit more now about how we're going to package this and then what this can mean for you. So on the left there, these are our core solutions, our packages or bundles, if you will. And we have 3 of those today. We have what we call Fundraising Essentials, which is generally Network for Good. And we're going to be adding DonorDrive to our Fundraising Essentials in a light version. And I'll talk more about what that means here in just a moment. Our other 2 are called Fundraising Pro and Fundraising Enterprise. These are generally powered by EveryAction, and depending on which one you have, just depends on which kind of portions and features in there. Some, like, for example, GiveGab and our donor trend models will be in Enterprise. We're going to add DonorDrive there. And if you are a subscriber or a customer of our Pro and Enterprise, you get DonorDrive as part of Pro and Enterprise included in your subscription automatically. On the right, you see our standalone, what we call point solutions. So if you just want a portion of our solutions and maybe not all of it, what you see there on the right is also what's available there, so that we have engagement. If you can think about like digital fundraising, emailing, texting as an example, volunteer management. And what we're doing is we're creating and simplifying our fundraising and events. So what I just showed you on the prior slide is essentially what that fundraising events solution is. So it's DonorDrive, it's ticketed events, it's auctions, and it's giving days, all included in that fundraising and event. And again, if you have your CRM and you're happy with it, you can keep your CRM, but you can use DonorDrive as an example by using that, purchasing that fundraising event point solution. So what does this mean, maybe more directly for Bonterra customers? If you are an EveryAction customer, you can get our peer-to-peer, as I just talked about, by moving to one of our Pro or Enterprise solutions. We want to make this economically a no-brainer for you. And so you can see there, it's roughly 75% off what you would normally pay for DonorDrive. And then we want to also make it very easy from an implementation perspective. So there's a few offers there as well that we can follow up with you on. There will be a poll in just a minute. So if you do want more information on this, we're happy to reach out to you. But if you are an EveryAction customer, but you're not on our Pro or Enterprise, if you want to take advantage of it, moving over and applying your subscription to Pro or Enterprise, hopefully is an economic no-brainer for you. If you already are a Pro or Enterprise subscription holder, what you can do is we will basically just set you up. As I said, DonorDrive is now included automatically in these packages. So if you are already on Pro or Enterprise, just reach out to us. Again, we'll give you a way to do that in just a moment, and we will get you set up on there. And if you are implemented by March, because I know we're in Q4 and this is a busy season, and may not be ready to run a peer-to-peer campaign here towards the end of the year. But if you set up by basically the end of Q1, we'll go ahead and set you up for free. If you want to do later than that, again, we want everyone to start using this great software. We're trying to make it as easy as possible for people to start using it. Lastly, what if I am both a DonorDrive and EveryAction customer? Awesome. Thank you so much. There's a few things here that's worth mentioning. You can basically apply, if you are a DonorDrive customer, you can just apply that subscription to Pro or Enterprise. You can apply any of that remaining kind of over, if there's anything left in your subscription to apply to, we would recommend our enhanced and premium support. As you can see there on the right, we've had customers love this. They get ticket priority, and they get maybe even more importantly, like strategic coaching, technical consulting, helping you become like really great fundraisers, and getting access to our experts on that. So I think we are at the moment where we're going to put out a poll. Again, if you are interested in learning more about anything that I just talked about in terms of getting going and set up on DonorDrive, go ahead and answer yes to that question, or actually really the first two. And if you do that, we will have someone reach out to you.
Awesome. Lots of interest trickling in, Russ. So I'm happy to set up those conversations after today's session.
Okay, great. Last but not least, if you are not an EveryAction or a DonorDrive customer, hopefully you can see we're trying to hit like all the scenarios here before we jump into the regularly scheduled roadmap. For Network for Good, as I talked about, we're working on a more simpler self-service version of DonorDrive. Our intent is absolutely to add it to Fundraising Essentials, adding it for free. We are just working through what that offering and really what the product definition is going to be. We're going to do that in the next month or two, and then I would expect by the end of the year, if you are a Network for Good customer on our Fundraising Essentials, you will see and get information from us to get up and going on DonorDrive. Lastly, if you are a Salsa customer, you can migrate to Fundraising, again, Pro and Enterprise is one way to get it. Or fundraising events, that point solution that I talked about that had, you know, peer-to-peer auctions, ticketed gala, that standalone piece will be available there in early 25. And then for GiveGab customers, probably what makes the most sense there, again, is that same point solution, that fundraising events. And again, that fundraising event point solution is that slide that I showed that had kind of each of the event types powered by Bonterra payments. That is what we mean by fundraising and events. Okay, great. With that said, we are going to move on to, there we go. And so the way that we're going to structure the rest of this webinar is I'm going to go through what we've recently released. So say since roughly July timeframe through now. And then I'm going to talk more about what we are getting ready to release. And I will do this by product. So I'm getting ready to talk about EveryAction. If you are a, for example, Network for Good customer, sit tight. Once I get through EveryAction, we'll move on to Network for Good. And then after Network for Good, we'll move on to GiveGab. All right, with that said, so now we are talking about some things that we have recently released. And I won't spend too much time here, but just to make sure that you are aware of them. We added better visibility for our NCOA, which is National Change of Address. And so if we get an update about like an address change, we wanted to make that much more obvious on the supporter record that something was changed as a result of NCOA so that you can see that. We've also added the ability to delegate bulk upload approvals. So you can have, you can delegate that over to your admins and you don't have to enter a support ticket to have that done. So I'm trying to save you a little bit of time there as well. One of our top requested feedback items for targeted email was to add the ability to view an email as a web page. So if you are a supporter and you get an email and you want to send that to a friend, or you want to have something more permanent in place that you can reference in other materials, you can make that email into a web page and then share that around. And again, that was one of our top requested ideas portal items, and that was recently released as well. And then for Google and Yahoo requirements for bulk emailers, I won't bore you with the details. Otherwise to say is that we are still up to date in compliance with them. They made some pretty big changes that we had to react to so that you could continue to get good deliverability for your email sends. We also did an overhaul of our membership setup to make it easier to set up, make it more intuitive. to understand how to build it out, how to structure your levels, how to make settings more universal, so you can do like one change and have it apply in multiple places. And then what's also really important with membership is the auditing aspect of that as well. So if somebody qualified for a level, if they moved up a level or they moved down a level, and they want to know why, you need to be able to see that information very clearly of why that happened, why that person moved. And that's really what we mean by the better auditing tools. If you haven't done a membership program, or it's been a while, I would take a look at it. Again, we also cut down on the number of pages and cut down on the information that you see. We really tried to streamline it there, in addition to add some functionality to help make your quality of life better. Some other administrative wins that we're rolling out, or we have rolled out, letting admins reset multi-factor authentication instead of kind of reach out for that. Single sign-on is now available as well. We had that in beta, just wanted to make sure it worked really well, given how important it is, but that has rolled out into production and is available. And then if you are a VPB Connect user, Virtual Phone Bank Connect user, we had an older model that we moved away from, and now we've moved to basically what we call a pay-go model. So basically you just pay for what you use versus what we had before, which is a little bit more of a subscription model. And then you had to kind of use it up month to month. So now you can just pay as you go. And if you use it heavy last month and not so much this month, it just aligns perfectly with the billing model. We are continuing to work. You're going to hear me talking a lot about Bonterra payments. I talked about it a lot in the spring. I will talk about it now. And then also next spring as well, we are really building out our payments infrastructure, again, powered by Stripe. We want to be able to take advantage. They're an industry leader, and we want to be able to take advantage of all the great innovations that Stripe is putting out. And so you're going to see that in a number of different ways, everything from payment types, which we'll talk about, to just within the application itself. So we made enhancements to make it easier to set up and start taking contributions even faster as well. And we're moving more and more of it to self-serve. So you can do it yourself, get configured, get up and running, and start collecting money faster and faster. And that's one of the primary goals for payments. We are also, as I mentioned, expanding our payments in terms of how we can support you. So we've added to Bonterra, our Bonterra payments, we've added ACH, we've also added Apple Pay. I'll talk in a few minutes about other payment types that are coming there. And then just sort of behind the scenes, we've added a credit card updater as well, so we can protect your sustainers. The other piece that we're doing is optimizing our contribution forms. This is a little bit behind the scenes, but I want you to be aware of it. Essentially what that means is that we are constantly testing our forms to see kind of like this, what we call an A/B test. So we have sort of the current version, and then we did make a minor change and we test that and we see which one was better. And then we pick the winner and then we kind of do it again. So we are constantly optimizing our contribution forms. And so just as an example of that, if you see like language in there about securely processing donations, what we see is you're going to get upwards of a 10% increase in conversions. Just when a supporter sees that kind of language in there, they feel more confident about putting in their credit card number and making a contribution. That's an example of the kind of improvements that we can make over time by trying out that language and seeing that kind of improvement and then making that standard. All right, so that's some of the pieces that we did. Let's talk about what we're working on right now and all the good things that are coming soon. The other reason I like to show that slide from several slides ago is to kind of help orient you into where we're focusing ourselves. I would love to be able to do everything all at the same time, but of course that's not the world that we live in. And so what you see there is that that second value theme there. The way we think about that for investments, reducing barriers to engagement, and then driving intelligent engagement actions. And so what you're going to be able to see there, like on the slide titles. Basically, what we either want to make it easier for someone to engage with you, maybe easier, removing friction points, for example, in terms of donating, or giving you more intelligence, more insights into your supporter base to help you make better, smarter, and faster decisions, essentially what that means. So first and foremost, as I mentioned, we're adding more payment types. Amazon Pay, Google Pay, PayPal, and Venmo are all either here or coming soon. And we have PayPal already. And so what we've been doing there is making it easier and faster to get enabled and launched on PayPal. So you will see a version of this slide until probably we have all the payment types, but we are continuing to add more and more payment types to Bonterra payments. And as I mentioned before, we're also trying to simplify this, make it easier for you. And so we've spent a lot of time on reconciliation, so you can reconcile in your reporting versus what you think you've captured, and being able to do that and have confidence. And then the deeper integration with Stripe, as I talked about, as Stripe brings optimizations, we'll be essentially passing those through to you as well. And we think they're just a great partner there as well. There's a few other events, kind of customer love items or sort of quick wins that we're going to put in place. And these are both idea portal kind of top vote getters that we're currently looking at. So one is enforcing capacity limits for a shift. So you don't get more people signing up for a shift than you actually need. And then making it easier and more streamlined for sign in on the day of the actual event, to make it easier to track which supporters actually showed up there. A couple of easy and quick wins there for events. For volunteer management, again, sort of along the same lines here, some other kind of top requested items are online waivers, being able to sign and submit those when they're going to attend, being able to do that ahead of time, and then having like a PDF version of that that's attached to that supporter record. So again, this slide and the last one sort of work together, make it easier to kind of set shift capacities, make sure it's very easier to log who signed, who actually showed up, and then the waivers for the prior day, or that you sign, the supporters would sign prior to the event, making that much easier there, so you can see kind of removing friction from that whole process. Let's see, some smaller items there as well. We're going to be increasing our encryption from 1028 to 2048. 1056 and 2048, and so that will be coming kind of behind the scenes there. And then we're going to be setting kind of custom return paths for you. Essentially what this means for you is your emails will be more secure, and your deliverability will either stay the same or improve, particularly with that second bullet there. So these are some kind of quicker wins that we want to get out, that we want to put in place. One of the larger items that we're working on, and I want to spend a moment here, is really rethinking the experience of EveryAction. So for example, when you first log in for the first time, and you are maybe you're a fundraiser, maybe you're a volunteer coordinator, whatever the case is, making that experience when you log in more tailored to you and what you want to see, what we would call like your jobs to be done, or like, why are you logged into EveryAction? What are the things that you're looking to do to complete? What information do you need to make decisions and use the capabilities and the functions that are within EveryAction? So we have spent a lot of time kind of rethinking how we lay out information in EveryAction, where we might want to move things around. We sent a lot of user interviews to understand how they're using. And towards the end of this year, probably in December, we're going to release a beta version of a brand new experience for EveryAction. And so what that means in a practical sense is, on the left-hand navigation, instead of seeing that kind of like many links there on the left, you're going to see consolidated information into what we're calling hub pages. So like contact, and all the things that relate to that, engagement, and then database as well. And so the ability to kind of navigate that navigation should be much easier. The search pieces will still be there. So if you want to search for something, that will still absolutely be there. You'll see on the header, it'll be much cleaner. You can get quicker access to information that you need. And then that main homepage there is going to be consolidated down into what we think is the most important information that you want to be able to see. Now, this is a beta experience. It will be an opt-in. So if you've ever used any other software that had this sort of thing, there'll be a toggle. So you can turn it on, check it out. You can turn it back off and kind of go back to how you're used to EveryAction being. We would love your feedback on how it's going. When you toggle it on or off, there'll be a little box there, so you can tell us what you think about it in terms of ranking it and any particular feedback. But we're going to continue to build this out over time. So we're thinking about things like breadcrumbs as an easy example for that. But there's all sorts of pieces that we're thinking about adding to this. And again, we want to give you the information that you need to make smart decisions, and then get you to where you need to be to complete your jobs as fast as possible. I think we have a poll for this one as well. And so we're looking for volunteers to try it out before we release it and tell us what you think. And essentially what that means in practice is someone will reach out to you, will give you kind of the navigation, and then typically what we'd ask you to do is ask you, try to do this task or try to do that task or that type of thing, and then kind of see how, if it's very easy and intuitive, or you kind of have to struggle, because that'll help us continue to fine tune it. So if you say yes there, that's really all we're looking to do, is get your feedback and input so we can make this as optimized as we can for you.
Lots
of all right, great.
Excited.
Next item is segmentation. This is another item that we're actively looking at. So we are looking at pretty hard at create a list and how we do save searches. We are actively working on being able to save a search and then use that saved search as a building block to create other searches, or maybe clone that search into something else, make it easier for you to get insights to and use list management. We have all these kind of AI proof of concepts in-house that I won't go through, but there's all sorts of ways that we want to make it easier for you to really segment and accurately understand and target your supporter base. So that's another piece that's we're actively working on. And then another area that we get a lot of feedback on as well is on reporting. And we are in the kind of the middle stages of a complete overhaul to how we do data reporting and analytics. And we want to be able to give you more flexibility to define the kind of data that you want to see, and then see it in a very easy manner. We get anecdotal feedback of, for example, users having to download maybe a couple of different reports and then put them in Excel and pivot, on that. We don't want any of that. So we want to make it much easier to do all of this in the application and put more and more of that power in your hands. So kind of overall, if you just think kind of usability, navigation, segmenting supporters, and then reporting are really three big focus and investment areas as we go forward. A couple other pieces here before kind of last slide to round out EveryAction. We are working on the last stage of our phone model. If you probably are aware, we did a pretty big overhaul of our phone model over this year. We want to make it easier to track a cell phone, and like what's a cell phone and what's a landline. Which one am I calling? Which one can I text, as an example? And then apply the scoring associated with that. So like likely a cell phone, likely not a cell phone, that type of thing, and update that scoring there. And then another kind of quick win is a lot of feedback we get is around custom fields. And we are looking at our ability to dramatically increase the number of custom fields that we would make available to you. So that is what's going on in EveryAction, things that we've released to date, and the items that we've been working on, as you'll see there. Again, it's a mix of some quick win type things that we want to give you. And then there's three big investment areas for us, which is kind of the overall usability and navigation, helping you find and you get access to information faster when you first log in, and then make decisions about and get you where you're going in the application. Two is a segmentation piece, better understanding of your supporter base and how to make decisions and take actions based on that. And then the third one is on reporting as well. Okay, so with that, we will wrap up EveryAction and we will move on to Network for Good. There's an amazing amount of work that we've released in Network for Good, so hang in there because there's an awful lot coming at you. So first and foremost, again, I'm going to start with what we have released since roughly the July timeframe through now. And when I'm done with that, we will move on to what we're actively working on and what's coming next. And I'm super excited about all of that. So first and foremost, we added some improvements here for email. First is the allowing for the one-click unsubscribe to keep you in compliance with bulk mailers like Google and Yahoo. And we added more flexibility there for 2FA means two-factor authentication. So if you don't have a US-based phone number, we made it easier to do two-factor authentication for those non-US-based phone numbers. We further integrated Bonterra payments into fundraising essentials as well. So all of that goodness that I was talking about earlier with Bonterra payments, all the way up maybe to the first slide when I talked about events and all those event types, and it was underpinned by Bonterra payments. We have Bonterra payments on Network for Good as well. And so we have done an awful lot of work here as well. So what you see there on the screen is we've made it more visible. That's an example of the payout dates, making that more visible. We've given you the ability to update bank account details, real-time status within Stripe, and you're getting more and better reporting on donor management of the payment types, last donations, what kind of payment method was used, when did it clear, when did we get it, making that much easier to see and understand for using Bonterra payments. Supporter segmentation, also on Network for Good. We have been and will continue to do work on reporting to make it even easier there. So you can now create donor reports based on household giving, which is a big win for many customers. And we have a new field called total household donation amount. So you can see what the entire household is given versus like the individuals and then having to add it up yourself. We've made it even easier to run historical donation totals. YOY means, man, we are terrible with acronyms. That means year over year. So if you want to see donation totals year over year, if you want to look at trends, if you want to do that on aggregate within a household, on an individual donor, you can see all of that as well, and how that kind of tracks year over year. And then also updating statuses now so if a donor purchases a sponsorship, you will see that reflected accordingly in the reporting. Even more wins there. We've added an awful lot more filters that you can see there. You can see for new searches. We are doing a soft credit attribution there for donors who do or influence a sponsorship. So we've made improvements there as well. Personalized greetings, so you can set your preferred greeting there as well. And then you can track all the forms of payments used by a donor as well. Like I said, lots of good reporting and donor improvements coming, or that has come. We also launched our everyday giving page template. So we've launched a brand new template there. It's available for you to go ahead and take advantage of. And we've made that simple. It's easier to start. It's more streamlined to kind of get up and running. If you like the layout of it, please feel free to use it. It should be, we're very excited about it. And it should be very easy to get up and start using it immediately. The other thing that we did too, and we have seen, and this is another example of kind of changes that we make behind the scenes to help you raise more money. And that kind of that testing that I was talking about earlier, we made a change that we did. If you are an existing donor coming to your site, we took away the requirement that that donor has to log in first to make a donation. Because we felt like maybe that was like some friction and causing some people to fall out of the process or the donation funnel. And it turns out we were right. So one of the changes that we put in permanently is we don't require donors who have an account to log in first, make it easier to make that one-time donation. Once they're through that, then they can log in, or we can know who they are, and we can make that attribution accordingly. But that's essentially one less step for existing donors if they want to make a one-time donation. We also increased on the payments side, increased the visibility for expiring credit cards for recurring donors. So you can see if I'm, for example, a recurring donor for you, and I have a card on file, you can see when that is going to expire. And then it would make it easier to edit and update the card information so you don't get any gaps in that recurring donations. And you can make those changes yourself. You can also pause and restart those recurring donations. So trying to put more power in your hands to take better care of your subscribers. We also adding uploading videos or sending personal video messages and video acknowledgements is there. You can also add and authenticate your own customer domains and add multiple sender domains. So if you want to send emails from a couple different domains, you can do that. I mentioned earlier with EveryAction, we had to sort of do the same thing here. Google and Yahoo made a bunch of changes to stay on their good side and make sure your deliverability stays high. And one of those items was Google had a kind of a one-click unsubscribe requirement. So your emails now, if people want to opt out, we are in compliance with Google for that one-click unsubscribe. One other big change that we rolled out is we took our what we call essential events. This is our more advanced event solution. So it essentially includes all the capabilities for events that we have in the Network for Good. We took that. We took auctions as well, and we rolled it out and made it available to everyone as part of your existing subscription to Essentials. And so hopefully you have seen that either through our marketing campaigns or through like in-app, what we call Pendo, but in-app notifications, or at least visually in the menu. You now, if you are Essentials, which essentially everybody is an Essentials subscriber, you now have access as part of your base subscription, access to our best and most powerful event functionality. As I said, DonorDrive is going to come soon, and we'll add that to it, and that will also be added for free as part of your subscription. But you'll have our most advanced Network for Good event capability and our auctions capability there as well. And then kind of a tease there, but we are adding PayPal and Venmo all over, and I'll get to that in just a minute for fundraising pages. After we add PayPal and Venmo to fundraising pages, we're going to add it to auctions as well. So everyone will have access to auctions, and all the payment types that you are used to will be there, and then we will add PayPal and Venmo accordingly. Okay, also on reporting, we've made it easier to do reconciliation as well. Again, you can kind of see hopefully some similarities here with Bonterra payments, making it easier to get more reporting on all of the payments that you receive, more power for filtering, for payout dates, and being able to have confidence that, you know, the money that you have, that you think you should have, is what you actually have, and being able to do that reconciliation. As you can see there in the graphics, that Stripe payout report, and that's another, frankly, just an advantage of working with Stripe, is they make these types of things very easy for us to pass on to you. Okay, so that is everything that we have released for Network for Good. Again, kind of July to roughly now-ish, and so now we're going to shift to the items for Network for Good that we are actively working on, and will be coming soon to you. So in the same vein as I showed for EveryAction, there is, we can't do everything all at the same time. We are focused on the same, what we call investment areas. Reducing barriers to engagement basically just means like taking friction out of the process, whatever the process is. We want to make it easier, faster, simpler to do that. And driving intelligent engagement actions, basically essentially putting more power, more control, more insights into your hands to help you make better and smarter decisions. Essentially what those two mean. So I just kind of got done talking about this with auctions, but we are literally maybe within the next 2 weeks. Don't hold me to that, but very, very soon we're going to be launching PayPal and Venmo on fundraising pages. And so you will see those as options there, and that's going to include, it's actually technically in beta right now. We do have some customers that are trying it out for us, make sure everything works well. And what that means, obviously, is we'll be able to take those as payment types. You'll be able to set them up on recurring donations. And our data and what we see in the industry is having PayPal will increase your conversion rate by roughly 7%. And particularly for the younger generations, millennial, Gen Z donors who are very familiar with PayPal, and in particular Venmo, are very likely to be able, especially on their phone or their tablet, or maybe are more likely to Venmo you. And so that will all be coming very, very soon. It's coming. The other thing that I'm super excited about for Network for Good is on this page. So I'm going to take a few minutes here and just talk about what each one of these means, because when they show up, I want to make sure that you're aware that they're coming and you are taking advantage of it. So first and foremost, there you're going to see things from us that are called optimized ask. And what optimized ask does is it takes all of the information that we have on any particular donor, and we create essentially customized ask amounts for that specific donor. So for example, if Ashley and I both load the same donation form, the suggested donation amounts that she and I see will be different based on what we know about each of us and our past donation history, among other things. And really what it's optimizing for is two things. Obviously, the first one would be to try to optimize the amount of money that you're asking. So if you have, to use a silly example, if you have a millionaire coming to your donation form, we probably want to ask them for more than $5, $10, $15, or $20. We may want to be asking them more. The other thing that it's also optimizing for is just simply conversion. And so it may be that we want to optimize increase the amount that we're asking for a person, but it might actually be the reverse of that also. And it might just be that we want them to give anything at all because they never have before. So that's optimized ask will basically make that decision per supporter in real time. We have this on EveryAction. So if you're with EveryAction and wondering about this here, it is in place today. If you're running through targeted email, it's a checkbox there that talks about using suggested ask amounts. We are bringing this to Network for Good All an EveryAction customer needs to do, all you need to do is basically just check that checkbox while you're setting up your email campaign, and we will do the rest for you. And what we see, we are not exaggerating there. When we looked at EveryAction customers who are using Optimized Ask, and we looked at EveryAction customers who are not using Optimized Ask, the ones that were using Optimized Ask were literally pulling in 2.4 times the amount their peers who were not using Optimized Ask. So if you're on EveryAction and you are not checking that checkbox, which should be checked by default, please use it. If you are with Network for Good and say by the end of the year, maybe early next year, when you see communications from us about Optimized Ask, when you see it in the application, please check the checkbox, and I think you will be happy with it. The second piece that we're doing there to help you raise more money is doing an integration with Double the Donation. If you're not familiar with them, you can literally just look them up, Google them, Double the Donation. But essentially what it does is they try to match a donor with their employer and see if their employer has a matching gift offer out there. And if it does, it makes that connection and it doubles the donation. So if my employer is giving say like a $50 match or whatever the case is, and I go and I give $50, what essentially you will see, a donor will see in the workflow is a quick like, hey, just tell us who you work for and we'll look it up. And if it is the case, Double the Donation will make the match for you. And you get, instead of my $50, you'll get $100 from me, 50 from me, and 50 from my employer. That will be coming out, I think, along with PayPal and Venmo. So let's just say in the next 2 or 3 weeks. You will need an account with Double the Donation. And so if you have an account with that, essentially what we're doing is we're facilitating that and making it available to you as part of your donation workflows. So these two pieces on this slide, plus PayPal and Venmo, all great ways to increase your donation amounts. All right, moving on. We will also be launching a 4-series end-of-year engagement plan. We've done this in the past, and essentially what we're trying to do is help you plan for your end of year, really take advantage of this giving season that we're just now entering into, and giving you a plan that you can follow to optimize and maximize the amount of money that you're raising in Q4. And it's also kind of frankly why we're trying to get PayPal and Venmo out and Double the Donation out, so that we can take advantage of that in Q4 in this giving season, being able to take advantage of that. So that will be coming soon as well. I mentioned this on EveryAction. NCOA is the National Change of Address Service. Essentially, if somebody moves, we are subscribed to a service and they will let us know automatically that, for example, in this screenshot, Dave Hermy has moved. You may not know that. And essentially, the service will automatically tell us that Dave moved, give us his new address, and we will update that address record for you. We are making changes to the service in a couple different ways. One is, frankly, our service provider with that. And then the other thing that we're going to do is roll this out to all customers. So when we are up and running and satisfied with our new NCOA provider, you as a subscriber to Essentials will just get this service added to your account automatically. And you don't have to worry about people moving and forwarding addresses and losing touch with them, because we will keep you up to date with that. Moving right along, another area that we get a lot of feedback in the Ideas Portal store that customers want to see from us is this idea of short URLs for giving pages and events. We are actively working on this as well, and as you can see from the screenshot there, essentially what we're going to give you is a second box there. So you have your full URL, in this case it's Pause for the Cause, a great name. And if you want to use a short URL there or something that's easier to remember, easier to type, or whatever the case is, you can put that short URL there. And then you can use that. You can share it in social media posts. You can put it in emails. You can text that out in your mobile messaging campaigns, whatever the case is. And you can use that much easier to read and understand URL. So that is coming soon. And then lastly, last page for Network for Good, we've been working on donor insights. So I covered a little bit of this earlier, but there's some other changes that we want to make and continuing here. We're making more improvements to our household reporting to make it easier to track the individuals within a household and then look at their giving individually, looking at it in the aggregate with householding, and making those reporting and easier for you to understand. And again, same thing there with the sort of the donor status logic. And so what that might mean in practice is if you have 2 supporters in the same household. One has given recently and one has not. In the current way things work, one will be active and one may be inactive. Now we can look at that if you want to within a household and just say, well, the household is active, and that's fine there. So that's really what we're getting at when we're talking about better status logic for householding, and giving that more insights into that particular household. And then we want to be able to log and track it, just kind of an easy quality of life win, logging and tracking meeting and phone call interactions, making that easier on the donor record, making that more prominent for you. So that is what we have for Network for Good. If you've been hanging on for Mobilize, thank you for hanging in there for 47 minutes. Like I said, we had a lot of content to get through. And so I am going to spend a few minutes on Mobilize in the same structure. So this will be things that we have recently released on Mobilize, and then I'll turn to what we're getting ready to release next on Mobilize. And then last but certainly not least will be GiveGab. So if you, this is one of our top idea requests, and I think we've gotten a lot of positive feedback, and I am personally super excited about this. This is the #1 most voted idea in the ideas portal. Is expanding Mobilize to handle Spanish-speaking supporters. And again, this tracks very well to reducing barriers to engagement. So we're going to phase this work out. So this first phase, as we talked about, is already there. So you can translate event sign-up pages. Mobilize event feeds can all be translated into Spanish. And that is recently released, and we've gotten a lot of really positive feedback from that. So if you have Spanish language donors or otherwise supporters within Mobilize, you can certainly take advantage of this now. The other thing that we've released is improvements to our Mobilize to the van integration. This is something that we're really always working on because there's it's such a powerful integration. It's so important to those who are using both of these. So it builds on that. We've essentially added a new custom field sync feature that will give organizers the ability to ask additional yes/no questions when volunteers sign up on Mobilize. And then you can have those answers not only replicate that into Van, but then also power automations and list segmentations within CRM. So it's really powerful. You can, in Mobilize, ask a question with a yes/no, create that yourself, and have the results of that pushed into Van, and then have automations set up based on whether or not somebody said yes or no. So you can take advantage of that essentially on both sides. So that's the good work that the Mobilize team has been doing over the last few months. Upcoming roadmaps for Mobilize. So another one, actually, I think this technically may have already gone out already, but this is self-check-in via QR codes. So this is another really one of our top ideas that we get from customers. This should really streamline check-in, attendance, tracking flows, tracking who who signed in and when, and then being able to run reports on that. So organizers can create essentially unique QR codes for each event, and then supporters can just scan that to check in for the event. And so these are improvements that are coming there with the QR code. There's a few other quality of life updates that we're doing for Mobilize. We're going to continue, like I said, to work on the van integration. And so these updates will be focused on better sign-up sourcing, better automations. It's not just the information that we want to make sure we get into van, but we want to be able to have you create automations and logic based on the information that comes out. We're going to be looking at how we close out shifts, trying to make that faster and easier for supporters. And then sort of along the lines of what I talked about in some of the other products, cutting down on spam and abuse within our email, which helps deliverability, among other things. So lastly here, last slide for Mobilize, essentially updating on promotion workflows. So we want to make it easier to collaborate with other organizations and amplify each other's events. We see this a lot. I think this is a great opportunity, but each, 2 different nonprofits essentially working together to be able to promote. So that's sort of the cross promotion workflows. We're working on that. SEO is search engine optimization. If you're not familiar with that, and really that means like how to rank higher on Google when someone is searching for something. and that there's a sort of an art and a science to SEO, frankly, and helping but really what that means for you in practice is helping your events and your feeds rank higher, so more people can find you organically while they're just kind of searching. Maybe they've never heard of you. The better we can do for you on SEO, meaning like you're higher in the Google search results, the more likely people are to see you and then click on that and click through with that. The last piece that we'll be doing there is helping, and again, this is sort of from the value theme of like empowering supporters. Often your best potential supporters and people that can join your nonprofit are within the network of people who are already supporters of your nonprofit. So it could be friends, it could be colleagues, like-minded individuals, whoever that is, and making it easier and removing the friction there to essentially like bring a friend to an event. And so if someone's interested in something and they want to like be able to easily share that with like, hey, Ashley, you should really come check us out. I know you also love dogs, so let's go, to this, whatever the case is, making it really easy for me to surface that up to Ashley and making it easier for her to say, oh yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to come. I like dogs too. So that's all the good work that is the Mobilize team has been doing, both in terms of what we've released and then also what is coming soon. All right, GiveGab. This is essentially the work that we are doing right now. We are putting more power in your hands. And there's a few things to make it easier so that you don't necessarily need to reach out to an admin, or you don't need to reach out to us to do it for you and have that kind of turnaround and wait time. So first is the ability to administer custom CSS. So CSS is essentially like how you do styling within your fundraising pages. So if you want to change like the font color or the font size, things like that, right now you'd have to kind of send us that CSS and we do it for you, and we want to make sure that you have the ability to do it yourself, which will help you iterate on your pages even faster. Same thing there, be able to expand like how you can manage your images on your Giving Days pages to make it easier to swap out images. And again, we kind of reduce the time for you to build and then edit your pages. And then there's a kind of another group here that's probably individually not worth mentioning, but just a lot of what we would call, there's a little bit of jargon there, but like time to live. So like how long does it take you to set up a new Giving Day campaign? How long does it take you to make routine design changes? We want to take the friction out of that process. So either make it easier for you to do it by simplifying workflows, or if your workflow ends in needing to reach out to us or someone in tier 2, and then you have to wait for us to do it for you, putting that power back in your hands and making it easier and faster to set up giving campaigns. Whew. All right, so that was that's everything that we've been working on here in the second half of the year. I know we have a few minutes, so if there's any questions, I could see the chat, but I can't keep up with it at the same time while I'm talking, so apologies for that. We will, as I mentioned, we won't have time to get to all of the questions. We will follow up in a blog post with answers to the most frequently asked questions. If you have the poll answers and you want us to reach out to you about DonorDrive or testing out our new EveryAction usability and navigation, happy to engage with you there. Or if you need anything else from us, you can also note that in the chat. With that, I'll turn it back over to you, Ashley.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much, Russ, for walking us through all of these exciting product updates. Lots of great things coming and lots of things that have come already. So I know folks are excited, lots of excitement in the Q&A. But let's go in and get ahead and get started with some of the questions that we do have time for. The first question that we got, it came from Jonathan, who asked, what is the plan for DonorDrive integrations? And will we see the product integrations between EveryAction and DonorDrive?
Yeah, we have a lot of plans in place for that. We are thinking about this along a couple lines. So we want to have integrations with across the event types. So if you want to run a peer-to-peer campaign and you want to run an auction, we want that to like that the data that you're using, like have an event, for example, and then understand that like these are both maybe a part of your event. And so the integrations there will be between DonorDrive, our auctions product, and then within we're focused on EveryAction and Network for Good to start. And so there's really, when we talk about integrations, there's a couple pieces to that. Generally speaking, one is the data, as you would expect. And so that's a workflow, anything from being able to like set up an event and kind of the types of events you want to use, the types of building your like outreach campaigns or your supporters that you want to target, being able to manage and see how that's going, being able to get your reporting, let's, for example, in EveryAction, do the reconciliation. Those are all like the data integration pieces. The second piece of integration there that we're looking very hard at is essentially like authentication. So if you, just as a general example, if you think about like if you were to use a Google product and you go to Gmail and then you pop over to Google Maps or something like that, it's the same login. They can look different because they're doing different things, but there's basically like one login that you have as you navigate around Bonterra products. So when you think about integration with that, that's the other piece that we're talking about as well. So there's really the data piece, and then there's like the authentication or sign-in piece. So like once you're signed in, we just sort of know who you are as you kind of move around there, so that we have like who you are and kind of what you're doing all centralized in one place. I wish I could wave my magic wand and make it all happen now. I think practically speaking, we are going to be working on this through most of 2025. What I have seen personally in the industry is when you have companies that buy other companies and put them together, where they tend to fall down is that integration piece, right? It's the data isn't quite where you need it, or there's multiple logins, or it's just sort of a disjointed experience. And so it's not enough to just push things around. While we're working on some of these integration pieces, we're also working on the experience of this. So again, if you want to run a peer-to-peer campaign while you're running an auction, what is your experience going to look like? What kind of things do you need and want to see? What kind of data do you need? And make sure that we're building towards that, so that when you have this events product from us, and again, if you're using our CRM, if you're using Salesforce, for example, you have the experience that you need to make it really easy and seamless to set up. So this will trickle out over, you'll hear me talking about DonorDrive probably for the next year and a half. And I would expect on the future ones, I will sort of in the same format. These are the integration pieces that we have completed, and these are the ones that are coming up next. Kind of like, frankly, we just, closed on the acquisition and the partnership about 3 weeks ago. So like how we're going to sequence this is actively what we're working on.
Awesome. And I know we're very close to time here. So I think we have time for one more question, but it did come up quite a bit throughout the Q&A. So I'm sure a lot of folks are interested to learn more about how we are thinking about AI, and if we are, and how so. Lots of interest in learning more about that.
Yeah, it's a great question. We are blessed, and I won't say cursed, but we have a lot of information that comes across a lot of channels. And when I think about, AI and ML, I think about like how can we best use the information that we have to surface, useful insights and actionable results based on that, to help you raise more money or really complete what you're looking to do kind of faster and smarter. Optimized ask is an example of kind of AI or ML, depending on how you want to say it. Within our enterprise package, we have about 13 of those models. As we think about going forward, we are thinking about how do we use the data to surface up like more specific and targeted supporter targets for you that you can then use. We're thinking about how, like LLM, so how can you like maybe write your first draft of your email, or something to that effect. We're also looking at and having a lot of fun, frankly, with natural language reporting. So if you said, I want to see all of my supporters that live in Miami and have donated at least once in the last year, and then we can sort of like just build you that query string or build you that report for you. Those are the kind of things that we're working on. Not all of them will come to see the light of day. That's why it's so important to us to be able to work with you all and try these things out and get your feedback on it. But those are the kind of ways that we've been thinking about it, is like, how can we use the data that we have with AI to make smarter, faster, and better decisions so that we can do more good.
Awesome. Well, thank you, folks, for your time this afternoon. Thank you, Russ, for this presentation and answering a couple questions. Unfortunately, that is all the time that we have allotted for this afternoon. But folks, there were a lot of questions that might be better suited for a one-on-one conversation. So we're going to do our best to follow up with you offline, and as well as throughout that blog post and our follow-up email. So be on the lookout for that. But thank you again, Russ, for your time, and everyone on the call. Thank you for your time, and thank you for sitting with us this afternoon to hear about our updates. And we hope you have a great rest of your afternoon.
Great. Thank you all. Take care.
Bye, everyone. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.